Okay, let's get into it again. Welcome again to the ITSM brief with Manuel Lloyd. I am your host, Manuel Lloyd. Today I'm going to be talking about the topic of, is your medical practice a sitting duck for hackers? 3 FYIs you need to know. Again, my name is Manuel Lloyd. I am the founder of Manuel W. Lloyd Consulting, an IT service management firm specializing in IT strategy, design, transition, operations, and continual improvement for medical practices. And these ITSM briefs are meant to help you go in the right direction when trying to protect your medical practice using the tools that are the most powerful, but also the most vulnerable, which is IT. So let's get right into it, will we? So this is a sensitive topic because medical managers seem to get tasked with managing the IT as well as running the practice, which can be quite frustrating for you, I know. So what I want to do is try to help you manage that more smoothly, because the chances are of your doc or your owners or your physician-owned practice hiring more help are slim to none, because margins are already thin in the first place. So hopefully I can give you a little help to make things easier for you to manage your practice. So believe it or not, your medical practice is under attack right now. Extremely dangerous and well-funded cyber crimes. Rings are in China, Russia, the Ukraine, even here in the U.S. No one really likes to talk about that, but they are. They're all over because it's a criminal enterprise that you can get kids basically to help you rob people, because they're so smart and sharp, and technology is just intuitive to them. So these hacking rings, if you will, are using sophisticated software like ransomware to attack and hack into thousands of medical practices just like yours, to steal things like patient data, credit card information, or any PII, personally identifiable information, electronic protected health information, and swindle money, directly out of your bank account, or in the case of ransomware, your Bitcoin account. Some of these rings are even funded by their own government. It is believed, I don't know, but it is believed that certain countries, I won't say for the sake of the fact that I have clients and friends all over the world, and I don't want to offend them, but at the same time, there are some of these larger countries who actually fund the hacking. And again, I haven't seen the evidence myself, but you can use tools to find out who's coming from where to try to hack. One thing that it's I can't think of the name of the company now, but they have like a cloud-based or web-based firewall. Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me later. Our American elections are believed to have been hacked by Russia. We don't know that to be true. The jury's still out on that, but the mere fact that that's a possibility is one of the scary examples happening on a frequent basis. You can't think that you're not in danger just because you have a small medical practice and you're not a big target like a Blue Cross Blue Shield, who was hacked, or Anthem, who was hacked. You need to think again about that. There are about 82,000 new malware threats being released every single day, and half of those cyber attacks are occurring at or happening to small to medium-sized practices. You don't really hear about it because it's kept quiet for fear of attracting bad PR, lawsuits, data breach fines, etc. However, if you're under HIPAA, if you have more than 500 records breach, you have to report it to the media. You have to report it. You have so many days you have to report to OCR and things of that nature. And, you're not too hidden because HIPAA, OCR will put your name on what's called the wall of shame. And if you go out there and just Google wall of shame, you'll be able to see probably some practices that hopefully it's not yours. So just think about that. Excuse me. One of the speeches I gave recently, I found a report. I have to find out the source for you, but about 88% of ransomware attacks happen to small to medium-sized practices, or just not even small to medium-sized, just healthcare in general. Why? Because patient data is valuable. It doesn't change like credit cards. Your birthdays don't change, your social security numbers don't change, and that is just valuable information. Now, why is it valuable? That's another topic of discussion, because it's only valuable if someone else thinks it's valuable. You just think about it. You can't go to a store and spend money on somebody's social security number, but you can steal their identity. So that's one reason, but there's a whole lot of other things. That'll be a topic, an ITSM brief all in itself. So, but that number, that 88% number is growing rapidly, more as healthcare organizations, payers, providers, patients are using the cloud and mobile devices. We're in a cloud first, mobile first world today. It's in the cloud. It's on my mobile. Those are the first places people think about. And when you think about it, you have your mobile device, whether it be a phone or a tablet, and you're going to the cloud. You're going to the internet. That's where you're storing your information. Everyone wants to do it there because it's more convenient for you. And believe it or not, it's more profitable for the service provider offering that. Yeah, most small practices, small to medium-sized practices that I'm talking to, and that's anywhere from 10 to 1,000 employees. My clients range from, I have a one doc office where we just provide the My Virtual CIO. That's typically for 1 to 50 docs or something like that. The My Virtual CIO service, or I have very, very large clients who are anywhere from medium size, about 1,000, large about 10,000 employees, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 300, 400, 500 docs. So it just depends. But healthcare in general is under attack. But most small to medium practices are low-hanging fruit to hackers due to their lack of adequate security systems, which is what prompted me to talk about this subject, because most small to medium-sized practices don't think that they're in trouble, and they really are, because when you think about it, I almost will bet you that if you go back to those large practices like Anthem and Blue Cross Blue Shield, the group in DC, Minnesota, California, Beverly Hills, North Carolina, right here, you will see that a small practice or small practices were the on-ramp to the main highway. So our main highway here is Highway 40, right? Interstate 40. So it goes all the way to Barstow, California, from Wilmington, North Carolina. So there's on-ramps from here, from Wilmington, North Carolina to Barstow, California, to Highway 40 or Interstate 40. And those on-ramps are like small to medium-sized practices. And the Highway 40 are like the large payers and the large healthcare systems. So hackers use you as an on-ramp, the small to medium-sized practices, to get to the larger ones because they trust you and you trust them. And if they can penetrate you, more than likely they can penetrate them, because you're going to have weak passwords and poor security. Not because you're not smart, it's just because you don't have the money to pay for some of these sophisticated tools to take care of things. So what I'm going to talk about here today is 3 quick FYIs. Simple things that you need to make sure you're doing on a consistent basis to avoid being the next statistic in those numbers. Use strong passwords, right? Simple, right? Yeah. Well, KISS doesn't apply here. Keep it simple, stupid. It's more like keep it secure, stupid. So simple doesn't apply here. Now, there are some companies coming out with this no password type of thing. And there are companies who are using biometrics. Apple's getting into that. That's cool. That's cool. It's just that there's so much sophistication out here to be able to duplicate or replicate or image something. There's got to be a better way. And companies are doing a pretty good job with multi-forum authentication, multi-factor authentication, and things of that nature. But that's just, a lot of this is just street smarts. It's not going to have anything to do with technology. It's just being smart. Using strong passwords seems simple, but so many people still use easy to guess passwords like password 123 or my favorite color is green. Well, guess what? Hackers have sophisticated software programs that can try to log on to your system, your account, your bank account, your website, whatever, at the rate of 8 million login attempts per second or something like that. I mean, it's brute force attacks and just very, very highly sophisticated software just to get your password. I mean, if your password is easy, they're in. Your password really should contain 8 characters at least, upper and lower case letters, a number and a symbol, some phrase. Take a phrase like, let's take that phrase that I said, my favorite color is green. Well, encrypt that my favorite color is green. One of the things that you could use is a tool like I saw one password. 1Password is a great tool to use to remember 1Password, and then you can encrypt all the rest of your passwords. The problem is that 1Password, if they get that, then they got the password to all your encrypted passwords as well. So you got to be careful. It's just street smarts. So that's one FYI, is use a strong password. The second FYI is consider using a unified threat management system. Firewalls and antivirus aren't enough. I hear executives say to me all the time, I deal with a lot of senior level management with strategy, and the first thing they say is, well, we should be protected because we have antivirus and malware protection, right? And you can laugh at them, but they're just as nervous as you are, you IT department managers and CIOs. But you have to explain to them that that's not enough to stop sophisticated tools hackers have. A unified threat management system will allow your administrators, your IT administrators, to monitor and manage a wide variety of security related applications and devices, just to make sure you're protected on all fronts. Because if you think about it, identity theft, you don't hear that a lot said anymore, but you have these companies that you pay to help protect you. Because the word I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, and I'm not an identity theft credit card person, but I've heard it takes 12 years to get your identity back if someone steals it. And can you imagine the flood of money you'd have to spend if you had, just say 500 patients, because that's the threshold if you breach 500 patients. Just a small number that HIPAA puts as a restriction. If 500 of those people, their identity was stolen and their healthcare records exposed, as a small to medium-sized practice can go out of business, period, because they don't have the funds like a big Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, whatever the case may be. So unified threat management systems, talk to your IT provider, your CIO, your IT department, your consultant, about getting something like that. And you can even possibly look into a cloud-based solution. Again, you just have to have a good strategy, a good design, a transition process, an operational efficiency process, and continual service improvement to always check. You should always check. Don't ever trust computers. Don't ever just trust them. Trust but verify, right? Don't ever just trust them. Okay, the third FYI is education. Educating your employees. especially your senior management. I've written before and I've said in many speeches that the biggest threat to any security program at an organization is the senior management. And people go, well, what do you mean? Aren't you a senior manager? I am. But at the same time, I know who I am. I know my limits. And as a senior manager, if you're listening to this, get out of the way. Find good people and get out of their way and let them do their job. Don't, just because it costs up front and you're looking at the cost, you can't look at it like that when it comes to protecting your IT systems. Your IT systems should be like your bank. Okay, data is the money. And your IT department are your bankers, your financial advisors, whatever the case may be, so to speak. Let them do their jobs. Find a trusted IT advisor and get the heck out of their way and let them do their jobs. You see CLO up here, and that's a little acronym I think I made up. Somebody else could have made it up. But I mean, it just came to me one day that I get so frustrated with talking with senior managers who want to do things the easy way. There is no easy way when it comes to IT security. There's not an easy way. It's complicated. And it's just like with money in the beginning when the Pony Express got robbed and there was train robberies and, bank robberies and, Bonnie and Clyde kind of stuff. Well, we have that now, but it's with data, and data is the new commerce. It's the new value. There's more value on data than ever before. So that CLO, I call it the chief laissez-faire officer. They're just lazy about IT security, and convenience is more important to them than security. So you have to be careful, and you especially, I would be adamant about making sure that a senior level manager is in your security training. They're going to want to say, well, I'm too busy. I got other more important things to do. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because without your support as a senior level manager, this IT system fails. The IT security fails. And quit being a jerk and get yourself inside of those meetings and those trainings and educate yourself. Don't be so lazy about it. Don't use that as an excuse that you're too busy, because you're going to be even busier trying to pay all the lawsuits and HIPAA fines that you get. Don't be that way. It's a pet peeve of mine, as you can probably tell. And one of the biggest problems with training employees is phishing schemes. Employees clicking on phishing emails or downloading virus-laden files because they think they're going to get $1 million in their bank account. Come on. Don't be so naive. Really? No one's going to give you $1 million. The science doesn't add up. The technology doesn't add up. The engineering doesn't add up. And the math doesn't add up, right? So STEM. None of that adds up. Think STEM when you see some. Is that science even make any sense? Who wants to give you $1 million just because you were some random person that they knew? Now, you also have situations, though, unfortunately for workers, that these emails really look like the real thing. So that's why training is important. Test your employees out sometime. If you IT managers and department heads and CIOs, send out a fake phishing scam yourself. That way you have a controlled environment and you know what's going to happen. You should run some random tests. But phishing schemes, they're the number one way hackers gain access and control of your network. How do they do that? Let's take ransomware. You click on a phishing scheme from ransomware and it encrypts all your data, every bit of it. Now, some of these ransomware attacks are weak. They're just absolutely weak. And that's a good thing for you. But some of them are very, very sophisticated, where the FBI and some of the most sophisticated security organizations in our country and around the world can't decrypt. Of course, a good backup and disaster recovery program is going to be the best way to defend against ransomware. So, and I don't want to get into the subject of ransomware. That's a whole nother topic. But you want to train your employees on how to identify phishing schemes and look at the entire email, the extensions, the .com, whatever after it, basically .fake. So, and one of the things you have to have, and typically larger organizations have this, but small to medium practices don't. You need to outline an acceptable use policy that details what your staff can and can't do with company-owned devices, files, software, whether it be a mobile phone, a tablet, whatever the case may be. Plus, you need to make them aware of how to spot these phishing schemes so they can avoid it altogether. And there's a lot more to talk about on this subject, but I try to keep these things brief. That's why I call them the technology briefs. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'd love to hear from you. Please share your comments in the YouTube window down there or on my website. My name is Manuel Lloyd, and I am the founder of Manuel Consulting, and I do these ITMS briefs not on a regular basis. I just do them as I think about things, and it's easier for me just to come in here and talk to you rather than write an article. I still will write articles. I still do speeches and things of that nature, but this is just something that's really fun for me, and hopefully it's helpful for you, and I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at manuel@mwlconsulting.com with questions. Manuel, Manuel, at mwlconsulting.com, or you can go to my website, mwlconsulting.com, and check out all the good stuff online there, videos and articles and offers and things of that nature. All right, folks, take care and have a great day and be safe.